So, if you've ever walked into a pediatric clinic or a children's museum and seen kids absolutely glued to these massive glowing pegboards, you know exactly what we're talking about today. Giant Lite-Brites, walls versus tables. Which one actually works best for kids? That's the question.
Right, and it's not a simple answer. The optimal choice really depends on a few key factors, like the age of the children, what developmental goals you're targeting, the physical space you're working with, and whether you want individual focus or collaborative group play.
Okay, so let's start with the basics. What exactly are we talking about when we say Giant Lite-Brites?
They're oversized, illuminated activity panels where children insert colorful, translucent pegs into a backlit grid to create glowing designs. You'll find them in waiting rooms, libraries, museums, basically any high-traffic public space designed for kids. They're commercial grade, built for durability, and they provide screen-free entertainment that draws kids in through light and creativity.
And the big divide is wall-mounted versus tabletop, yeah?
Exactly. Wall-mounted systems are ideal for collaborative, physical play and sensory integration. They encourage reaching and gross motor skills, and multiple kids can play at once without crowding. Think of a wall that's anywhere from 3 to 8 feet wide. Children stand, stretch, and engage their shoulders, core, and wrist stability as they place those pegs on a vertical surface.
So it's more of a whole body experience.
Definitely. And for kids aged 5 and up, wall-mounted units create this immersive, expressive canvas. They can collaborate, build together, and the wall becomes a stunning focal point in the room. I remember visiting a children's hospital last year where a 7-year-old spent an entire 30-minute wait designing a rainbow on one of these walls. His parent told me he usually hates doctor visits.
Wow, that's powerful. Now, what about the tabletop versions?
Tabletop versions work well for focused crafting and more intimate play. They provide a flat, stable surface for concentrated design work and give easy access to the entire pegboard. Sitting at a table allows children to steady their arms and use precise peg placement, which supports fine motor development.
So for younger children, tabletop models offer some advantages?
Yes, tabletop models allow toddlers to steady their arms for precise peg placement. They can lean over, take their time, and really focus. The seated position provides stability that can be helpful for developing those fine motor skills. In other words, you're giving them the conditions to practice those intricate hand movements they need.
Makes sense.
That makes sense, especially when space is tight. How do administrators usually decide which format to go with?
Space constraints are a big consideration. Wall-mounted units clear up valuable floor and table space, but you need sturdy wall anchoring, stud support, the whole deal. If you can't install on the wall, or if you want something repositionable, a freestanding tabletop system makes more sense. It's self-contained, and you can move it around as needed.
And honestly, if you're not careful with wall mounting, you might end up with a very expensive light board on the floor. Not the kind of installation statement you're going for.
Ha! Exactly! That point about repositionable systems sets up our next piece, how these installations strengthen engagement in public spaces. But first, a quick word from our sponsor.
At Little People's Cove, we help pediatric offices, children's hospitals, therapy centers, libraries, and museums create engaging environments with commercial-grade Giant Lite-Brite walls and activity tables. Built for high-traffic daily use, these oversized illuminated play experiences encourage creativity, fine motor development, and collaborative play. They provide screen-free entertainment that reduces anxiety and keeps children actively engaged. Transform your space into a vibrant destination. Learn more at www.littlepeoplescove.com.
Picking up on repositionable systems, how do you handle the balance between flexibility and creating a permanent anchor experience in a space?
Great question. If your goal is to make a bold visual statement, something that draws families in and becomes a signature feature, wall-mounted is the way to go. But if you're running a therapy center or a library where you need to reconfigure rooms for different programs, a tabletop system gives you that flexibility without sacrificing engagement.
And both formats use safe, cool-to-the-touch LEDs, right? What about safety concerns?
Yes, both use LED backlights with long lifespans, around 70,000 hours reported for some models. The surfaces are sealed, shatter-resistant, and wipe clean with disinfectants. The main safety concern is the pegs themselves. They can be a choking hazard for babies and toddlers, so you need adult supervision. Commercial models are designed with larger pegs to reduce that risk, and the boards are built not to splinter or break under heavy use.
So to everyone listening who's designing a children's space, have you ever wondered how something as simple as light and color can completely transform a child's experience in a waiting room or a museum?
It's powerful. Light panels improve sensory play, creativity, hand-eye coordination, concentration, problem-solving, and spatial awareness. Educators often observe that children focus longer when engaged with a lighted surface. The glow makes subtle details more noticeable and encourages kids to be better observers.
Right, absolutely.
And for occupational therapists, these tools are invaluable. Therapists incorporate these products into sensory diets for tactile, visual, and fine motor input. Tabletop systems, especially, provide that therapeutic depth in a self-contained form. The illuminated surface at a natural seated working height makes it accessible for younger children and those benefiting from table height sensory engagement.
You know, I've heard stories from libraries where wall-mounted systems became so popular that pegs were left on the ground, creating tripping hazards. How do you manage that?
Yeah, that's a real challenge in high-traffic areas. Some facilities use sanitation baskets, dishwasher-safe bins that make cleanup and sanitizing quick and efficient. Others install the wall unit in a supervised zone, away from doors, and provide clear signage. The goal is balancing free play with practical maintenance.
Makes sense. And there's also the emotional impact, right? Optimizing the design of waiting spaces can reduce boredom and anxiety in child patients.
Exactly. Adding interactive play areas can improve overall satisfaction and help reduce anxiety in child patients. Light-based play environments provide rich sensory input that's essential for brain development. Kids are making sense of the world through touch, sight, and creativity all at once.
So, wrapping this up, if you're an administrator or a designer, the decision comes down to three things: age suitability, developmental goals, and your physical space.
Right. Wall-mounted systems are fantastic for older kids, group collaboration, and when you want to save floor space. Tabletop systems offer focused play opportunities, easier supervision, and versatility for multi-use rooms. Both formats support creativity, discovery, and hands-on learning. What matters most is matching the tool to the environment and the children you're serving.
Brilliant. Thanks for breaking it all down.
My pleasure. And if you're ready to bring the magic of Giant Lite-Brites to your space, Little People's Cove offers excellent pricing on both wall-mounted and tabletop models designed for schools, libraries, museums, and waiting rooms.